All right, we get it, we get it. This car is a nightmare. This is not gonna work. We've tried everything. I'm over-engineering this car in my head, and it's already an over-engineered car. Open, 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 open. Ugh. This has to be one of the worst cars I've ever picked up at the auction. These Bentley Continental GTs, they look amazing, and considering they cost like near $250,000 new, well, today you can pick them up cheap, super cheap. But they're cheap for a reason, and I'll show you about 82 of those reasons right now. Like all of my auction purchases, this one starts with a handful of pictures and a listing marked as is. As is means whatever shows up is what I have to keep. There's no sending this car back, no arbitration, it is mine. Now, it's obvious that this Bentley needs a little cosmetic repair with the front bumper being all cracked up and the fender smashed in, and my favorite picture of the bunch is this greasy handprint on the suede headliner. It almost looks like one of the auction mechanics just got done doing an oil change on a BMW and used this Bentley's interior as a rag to clean it up. But cleanup is what I saw and what I thought would be the only thing I'd have to do when I decided I wanted to bid on this car. There were no major noted mechanical defects except for the fact that the convertible top wouldn't open, and even with its fender bender, this car only had 2 previous owners on record and a clean Carfax with no accidents, which generally goes pretty far in the luxury exotic world. A car like this in mint condition could cost around 60 grand today, and I was adamant I could get this spruced up and it would be a really nice car. The problem here? None of these are really nice cars anymore. This generation of Bentley shares a lot of common electronics with the higher-end Audis and Volkswagens of this era. A truly terrible era of automotive excellence. Now remember, the auction report didn't really have anything negative to mention about the mechanical condition of this car. That's pretty accurate because it's not the mechanical systems in these cars that pose a major problem. It's always the electrical systems. This specific Bentley is a 2007. It has the very same technology that was being introduced in cars like the VW Touareg and Phaeton as early as 2002, meaning that this over-engineered garbage was now 5 years old, which makes this $250,000 sticker price seem like a slap in the face. Now the truth is, some rich people are used to paying extra for pain with their pleasure, but after having this car for just around a few weeks, I couldn't find anything pleasurable about it. I might have made the prospect of buying an old cheap Bentley sound really bad, and I don't want to continue this video on a negative note. I want to tell you about something that sounds really good, and those are these Raycon everyday earbuds. While they might be small, Raycons pack big sound and features at around half the price of other premium audio brands, and with 8 hours of playtime, 32 hours of battery life, and the ability to wirelessly charge, these buds will bring the power to your work and play for days. And since they're so light and come with multiple optimized gel tips, they're super comfortable and they'll never come loose, ever. And besides their perfect fit, your set of Raycons also come with the perfect sound. That's because there's 3 different sound profiles you could choose from on the fly. All you gotta do is hit that button on the side for 3 seconds. We just entered the pumped up bass mode, which makes that rap and hip hop that I listen to extra crispy. To learn more about the everyday earbuds, head on over to buyraycon.com/samcrack or click that link in the description. When you use my link, you're going to get an additional 15% off your order at Raycon. Again, that's at buyraycon.com/samcrack. So when the car was dropped off, there are a few obvious things going on. First off, the rear quarter windows were sitting halfway open. When you would hit the window switch, sometimes they would move a little, but most of the times they would just act stuck. Now there's a very common window calibration that most auto windows do, where you hold the switch all the way down and then pull them back up. And while this seemed to help the situation, it was always temporary. The second you would open the door back up, the quarter windows would fall and they wouldn't come back. So whatever controls the windows and their positions has a mind of its own. And watch this, when we get out, you see the window just dropped just a smidgen. Even if it thinks that the window's in the right position, when we close it, it stays. If we just let that window drop every single time we open it, eventually it'll drop all the way down and it won't go back up. And the only way to reset this is to unhook the battery, hook it back up, then the window controls seem to work for a limited amount of time. Now initially I thought, again, this was an electrical system issue, and it really seems that way, but if you do a little research online, they talk about the weight of this Bentley glass. If you look close, it's double paned, and that double pane adds extra wear on its window regulators, and over time the metal cords inside just get really worn to the point that when it comes time to bringing the window down, it's okay, but when it comes time to lifting it back up, they just don't work as well. The weight of these double pane windows have become way too heavy for the worn out window regulators. Now if I had to repair these regulators, it's really not the end of the world. They sell a pretty cost-effective repair kit online, and well, it's a good amount of work. You have to disassemble your entire rear interior, but that wasn't my main concern here. The main concern was the amount of issues that came with this Bentley. Our next problem, and probably the most frustrating one, had to do with the trunk. When I got the car, the trunk was jammed open. I didn't focus on this off the bat. I spent more time looking into the other issues, which I figured were mostly electrical, but while we were in the trunk, I noticed the main big battery was weak, so I replaced it with a good working one.
All we have to do is take the wiring harness, run it to it. I want to just see if it does anything off the bat. Let's see.
Okay, nothing off the bat, okay? Now, I'm gonna press the B again up top here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, it's closing on its own. Something it hasn't done before. Let's go, let's go. Oh, come on. Oh, did it close? Did it close? It closed, okay, perfect. Got my key in the hand right here. Let's see if this works. Now, nothing, great, awesome. Let's unlock the doors. All right, now let's press it. Come on, you son of a... What the hell's wrong with this car? Unlock, open, 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 open. Do I have to hold it? Now again, since everything on this system is electrical, Bentley put in a failsafe, a mechanical release inside the rear armrest to pop the trunk. The only problem is, this must have been used so many times by whoever had the car before me, it was stuck. I even used a bolt extractor socket to try and turn this lever, and no matter what I did, it wouldn't open the trunk. Now with the trunk latch completely stuck shut, no way to get into it, the only other thing I could figure is that if I went online and bought one of these, first of all, this might be our savior once we get the trunk open. Maybe we have a faulty latch. As you can see, this is a pretty complex mechanism here. Got a motor sitting right here, and well, you could take this all apart if you wanted to, but I didn't get that far. All I did is I wanted to inspect this and see if there's anything we could push and get into the trunk. So again, if you look at it, the only place that someone can physically touch on this latch is this guy right here. Look, see this physical button now? It doesn't actually move the latch at all, so it's not mechanical, it is electronic, but we wondered if we could hit this inside, would it electronically actuate our trunk and pop this open? All right, we are now using a boat oar.
Gotta switch it up a little bit.
I mean, Sage is convinced that the boat oar is the solution here.
I think their best solution right now.
So here we go. We were using this.
Now we're
switching to the boat oar to see if we can't manually pop the trunk release latch here. Whoa, that felt interesting. I could feel it.
There we go.
You got it? Oh, look at that.
Oh, hell yeah.
What the heck? Look, it's wanting to close on me right now. Yeah, no thanks. There's all our stuff. We found it. See this switch right here?
Yes,
this is the only thing I think that could make this thing be silly, but you see what that says? Boot closed. So let's see. We press it. Let's hope it didn't just smash that button. But okay, look, the boot is now closed. It is closed, it's locked. Now, we press the B. What a piece of junk this thing is.
That's unfortunate.
Hold on, stay there. I'm gonna pull this. Nothing?
Nothing.
What is wrong with this? What's wrong with it?
It's a piece of junk, Sam.
This car's definitely not pushing P, man.
No.
All right, unlock. Pushing B. I'm pushing B. I'm pushing B. I'm pushing B. It's doing nothing. Look, I'm gonna hold B. Now this was a super annoying problem, but just thinking about the amount of time we spent trying to diagnose this latch is maddening. And I don't even think the issue was with the original latch at this point. If I had to guess, I'd say that the module that controls this entire assembly, yes, they have a module that just controls this, was faulty. I'm going with this because Car Wizard actually did a video specifically on a Bentley with a trunk with a similar issue. And he said that these trunk modules just don't exist anymore. They don't make them, and if you buy a used one, well, you're gonna run into the same problem because they all seem to fail.
But still, I was convinced that we had a major electrical issue affecting all of these systems, and while we were working on the Bentley, I noticed something strange. The stereo unit, which controls a ton of the different systems in this car, like the suspension and the climate, would randomly constantly turn on while the car was off. When we turned the car on, sometimes it would reset. It had a mind of its own, kind of like the trunk. Was constant power cycling putting a draw on the battery, making it weak and creating the root of all of our issues? Figured we should just pull the stereo and see what happens.
All right, key's not in the ignition. Shows the two front doors are open and the hood's open because it's open and the trunk is open because it's open. There's no power to this car, and look, here's the radio that's turned itself on again. So Sage, you go ahead and do the honors. You are our trim and window regulator tech.
That's what I like to hear.
And dude, it's actually no screws in pulling that off?
No, just a couple clips.
If we get rid of this car at the auction, Sage, I got an idea. We pull that Bentley Breitling clock out of the center dash there and we replace it with like a Walmart Casio.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we can make a little money. All right, we got a couple bolts here. Sage, I'm liking this car when I'm sitting in the driver's seat, but I'm hating it when we're working on it from the outside. But these aren't super hard repairs.
No, it's actually pretty simple. It's only 4 screws holding this in.
And the only special tool we've had to have so far is a boat oar.
Well, I tried to be optimistic, but removing the stereo from the car did absolutely nothing. In a quick Google search about this issue, popped up a bunch of threads on forums with other people experiencing the same thing. So much so that there's a repair service dedicated to fixing the Bentley control unit, which runs around $750. Now, the last obvious issue we had, which I initially thought was going to be the most difficult and expensive to repair, was a random rough idle that the car had. These Continental GTs are notorious for a set of plastic vacuum hoses that run over the transmission. They get brittle over time, developing cracks and causing the car to run poorly. The vacuum lines themselves are really cheap, but the only way to repair it is to completely drop the engine and transmission, a very costly service. But here's the thing, that issue is way more prevalent on the earlier model year Continentals. In the first year of the convertible, they rerouted and updated these hoses to make them stronger and easier to service. Either way, this car came with hardly any gas in the tank, so when I went to fill it up, I think I found the root of a rough idle.
Look at this. Like, come on. How am I supposed to fill this up without water getting all in my frickin' gas?
Once I put a little heat in the tank, which is a product that removes water from fuel, and some fresh gas in the car, it pretty much ran perfect. So there is one good thing going for this Bentley.
And besides all the things we just ran through, we haven't even talked about the cosmetic condition of this car, which is mediocre at best. The whole reason I bought it was because of that front end damage. I thought we were going to just replace a bumper, replace the fender, have them painted, and be done. Have a nice 40,000 mile Bentley Continental convertible, but it's not the case. First of all, what is even going on with this bumper? Is this the original bumper that someone wrecked and then they took it to a shop really quick and that shop just kind of doctored it up to make it look good at auction? That's what it strikes me as, and the whole reason I say that is because the bumper still has the reflectors in it. These aftermarket bumpers that are kind of chintzy and odd looking, like what's on the car now, well, those bumpers don't have reflectors in them because a lot of them come from the European markets. Now, we could take this bumper off and figure out whether this is an original Bentley bumper, but either way, it doesn't matter. It has to be replaced, and well, a replacement one used costs around $3,000 to $4,000 in good condition. Again, I thought that was going to be the majority of the spend on this car. I saved somewhere in the realm of 10 grand buying it, but we have to tack on a $4,000 bumper and let's say a $1,500 fender. Forget it. On top of all the other stuff, will go way over budget. Now, this looks like a cat kind of picked the corner section of the top. We also have this glass that's delaminating from the top. These are really common things on these cars, and actually this top is in better shape than a lot of the other 50 or 60,000 mile examples I've seen. Sometimes you see huge tears in the corner section. That's because in the back part of the top itself, there's a lot of different cords and elastic pieces that when the top starts to retract, they pull everything in so the top folds up nicely and it gets stowed away. The problem is the original design from the factory wasn't good. When those cords start to put tension on the corner of the convertible top, it's literally tearing away at it from the inside. Bentley created a repair kit for this, and it's something like several $100s, and all it is again a bunch of little pieces of elastic and cord. Something you could probably get at the craft store for around 20 bucks, but no Bentley owner goes and just installs this fix kit. The only way to properly make this right again is to get a replacement convertible top. Now, the third-party runs run somewhere right around $3 grand, and from what I understand, they fit kind of baggy and they don't look very good, especially in a car that costs $250,000 new. The OEM ones cost closer to $7 grand. This is all before installation. Now, if you got this job covered under warranty from from Bentley. They replaced the entire convertible top mechanism, including the whole framework and everything, at a cost of around $30,000. So things can get really out of hand on this car really quick. I really feel like I got had on this car. And to be honest, that's the only way you feel when you spend a lot of money and get something so disappointing. Now, I'll tell you why I feel like there might have been a little bit of funny business in this auction listing. First of all, remember I said that the only thing it really listed, besides the fact that it was cosmetically pretty rough, is that the convertible top didn't go down. There was nothing obvious about any of the other problems we had. Now, all the other problems seem pretty small until you research them and find out that these cars do have issues with their trunk latches. They do have issues with their stereo systems failing, and there are rebuild services that exist for those and rebuild kits that exist for the window regulators. So there are a lot of little issues here that mount to one big bill. Now, going back to the actual auction itself, it's a really good seller's game, especially with this as-is stuff, for people to take cars that have a little bit of crash damage and put it there, so you know you're buying the car at a discount, and they probably got it even way cheaper, but that crash damage really takes your eye off the fact that every other possible expensive problem with this car exists. And that's exactly how I fell for it. Now again, it's easy for me to feel that way. This also could just be a car that was super neglected. Every time something little broke, it wasn't taken care of. The radio was going out, the window regulator started failing, and that is another common thing on old cars as they tend to trade hands. But this one, only 2 owners and 40,000 miles. Just something is really fishy about it. Either way, once you consider the cost to repair all those little issues and then add that to the convertible top and the cosmetic issues and the price I paid for the car, man, it would be a huge loser. And sure, could we fix this car and make content on it? Yeah, there's definitely fixes for all these issues, but when it doesn't make monetary sense, I never like to make content on it. It's just something that I believe, and if you do too, be sure to hit that like button. Also, if you're not already following me on Instagram, where I'm posting updates to the Blue Ferrari 360 Spider project, any new projects before they show up here on the channel, well, just visit me here or click that link down in the description box. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.